Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different.
Uh,
Yeah, we're going to be exploring some timeless lessons for entrepreneurs
Okay,
from, you're not going to believe this, the biblical story of Cain and Abel. I
interesting.
know it sounds a bit out there, but trust
Yeah.
me, this ancient tale has some surprising insights for navigating the challenges of the modern business world.
You might be surprised at how much we can learn from a story that's thousands of years old,
Right?
even if you're not religious.
Exactly.
The story of Cain and Abel taps into some fundamental human experiences,
Yeah,
rivalry, ambition, and the consequences of unchecked
for
emotions.
sure.
These are things every entrepreneur grapples with, regardless of their industry or background.
Absolutely. So for those who maybe need a refresher, Cain and Abel are brothers.
Right.
Cain's a farmer. Abel's a shepherd. They both offer gifts to God, but only Abel's is accepted. Cain, he does not take this well at all.
Yeah.
He gets consumed by envy and anger, ultimately leading him down a very dark path.
It's a tragedy, really,
Yeah.
but within it are some really practical lessons,
Yeah.
especially when we think about emotional intelligence in the business world.
Oh, absolutely.
Envy is a powerful emotion.
Yes.
Think about it. A competitor scores a major investment. A colleague gets the promotion you wanted.
Right.
How do you react? Do those feelings drive you to self-improvement, or do they consume you?
I mean, we've all been there, right? That pang of envy when we see someone else
Yeah.
achieving what we desire. Genesis actually spells out Cain's envy and anger pretty explicitly.
Where?
Chapter 4, verses 4 and 5. It's a stark reminder that these emotions are as old as time
Wow.
and just as powerful in the boardroom as they were back then.
That's fascinating. What's fascinating here is that the story doesn't condemn ambition.
Uh-huh.
It's more about highlighting how easily things can go wrong when you let negative emotions take over.
Absolutely.
So how do we as entrepreneurs navigate those feelings? How do we turn that envy into something productive?
That's where emotional intelligence comes in, right?
Yeah.
Recognizing and redirecting those negative emotions before they lead to destructive choices.
Exactly. Instead of letting envy eat away at you,
Yeah.
try analyzing what your competitors are doing. What are their strengths? Where are they excelling?
Right.
Use that information to identify areas for your own self-improvement.
Yeah.
It's about channeling that energy into positive action.
So it's less about keeping up with the Joneses and more about understanding what they're doing right.
Yes.
So you can level up your own game, speaking of responsibility.
Mhm.
Cain's attempt to evade it brings up another crucial point.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a pivotal moment in Genesis 4.9 where God asks Cain, "Where is Abel, your brother?"
Right.
And Cain's response is, "Am I my brother's keeper?" It's a classic case of trying to shift blame and avoid taking responsibility for his actions.
Yeah. We all know how damaging that can be, especially in a business setting. Trying to sweep mistakes under the rug or point fingers only erodes trust and damages your reputation. Owning your mistakes can be tough, but it's a game changer.
It really is. It's about acknowledging your role in both successes and failures.
Mhm.
Think about it. When a leader takes responsibility, it sets the tone for the entire organization.
Right.
It fosters a culture of accountability, encourages transparency, and ultimately builds stronger relationships
Oh, for sure.
with your team, your clients, and your investors.
So taking ownership isn't just about damage control.
Nope.
It's about demonstrating integrity and a willingness to learn and grow. And speaking of growth, let's talk about rivalry.
The Cain and Abel story is often seen as a cautionary tale about the dangers of sibling rivalry,
Mhm.
but it also speaks volumes about the nature of competition in general.
Right.
Now, the story doesn't say competition is inherently bad. In fact, healthy competition can drive innovation and push us to be our best.
Absolutely.
But there's a fine line between healthy competition and destructive rivalry.
Right. Cain and Abel are a pretty extreme example of what happens when competition turns toxic.
Yeah.
But how do we make sure we stay on the right side of that line, especially in the pressure cooker environment of entrepreneurship?
That's where ethical competition comes in.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that someone else's success doesn't diminish your own.
Yeah.
It's about celebrating their achievements while still striving for your own goals.
So instead of viewing your competitors as threats, you should see them as sources of inspiration.
Right?
People who are pushing the boundaries and setting a high bar.
Precisely. And when you adopt that mindset, you create a more positive and growth-oriented environment. both for yourself and for everyone around you.
I like that.
You're not trying to tear others down. You're focused on lifting everyone up.
So it's less about survival of the fittest and more about creating a rising tide that lifts all boats.
Exactly.
It's fascinating to see how this ancient story is so relevant to the challenges we face as modern entrepreneurs.
It really does make you think, doesn't it? The core themes of emotional intelligence, personal responsibility, and ethical competition are timeless principles that can help entrepreneurs navigate the complexities of the business world with more integrity and resilience, and ultimately, that's what sets apart the truly successful from the rest.
Absolutely. So we've uncovered these three key takeaways from the story of Cain and Abel:
Right.
mastering your emotions, accepting responsibility, and embracing ethical competition.
Yeah.
But how do we actually put these principles into practice?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to talk about emotional intelligence, but it's another thing to actually implement it when you're facing a tough situation.
Yeah, it is. And that's where things get really interesting.
Sure.
One of the most practical pieces of advice I came across in the research is to view challenges as opportunities for growth.
Okay.
Think back to a time when you faced a setback in your business.
Yeah.
Maybe a deal fell through, a product launch flopped, or you received some harsh feedback.
Right.
Instead of getting bogged down by those feelings of disappointment or frustration,
Yeah.
try reframing your perspective.
So instead of asking yourself, why me, you should be asking, what can I learn from this experience?
Exactly. How can you use this setback to improve your skills, refine your strategies, or pivot your approach?
Yeah,
Embracing a growth mindset is so crucial for entrepreneurs.
I agree.
It's about seeing every challenge, every obstacle as a chance to learn and become better.
And that ties in nicely with the concept of personal responsibility, right? It's not just about owning up to your mistakes. It's about using them as fuel for growth. Transparency is a big part of this, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Being open and honest about your missteps,
Yeah.
both with yourself and your team, is so important. It builds trust, encourages accountability, and creates a culture where people feel comfortable taking risks and learning from their mistakes.
Because let's face it, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, especially in the fast-paced world of entrepreneurship. But hiding those mistakes only makes things worse.
Right.
It erodes trust and creates a culture of fear and secrecy.
Yeah. And that's the opposite of what you want in a thriving business.
One of the sources we looked at actually highlighted this exact point, and it really resonated with me. It said that admitting your mistakes doesn't make you weak, it makes you human.
Right.
And that's what people connect with. They want to work with leaders who are genuine, who are willing to be vulnerable, and who are committed to learning and growing.
It's about being real, right?
Yeah.
Not trying to project this image of perfection,
Yeah.
because nobody buys that anyway. And when it comes to ethical competition, I think one of the hardest things is genuinely celebrating the successes of others, especially when you're in a cutthroat industry.
It's easy to get caught up in the comparison game,
Yeah.
to feel threatened when someone else is doing well. But one of the sources we reviewed offered a really interesting perspective on this.
Okay.
It said that instead of feeling threatened, try to see it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
So basically, turn your competitors into mentors. In a way, yes, analyze what they're doing well. Try to understand their strategies and see if there are elements you can adapt or incorporate into your own approach. Remember, success leaves clues. By studying those who are excelling, you can glean valuable insights that can help you elevate your own game.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. It's about shifting your perspective from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Instead of seeing the entrepreneurial world as a zero-sum game where someone else's win is your loss, you start to see the potential for collaboration and mutual growth.
And that's what ethical competition is all about. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to succeed, but we also want to see others succeed. And when we embrace that mindset, it creates a more positive and supportive environment for everyone.
It's kind of like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Right.
When we focus on lifting each other up, we all benefit in the long run. But the Cain and Abel story also serves as a cautionary tale, right? It reminds us that our actions have consequences not just for ourselves, but for those around us.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that the way we conduct ourselves in business, the choices we make, the way we treat others, it all matters. It shapes our reputation, our relationships, and ultimately our legacy.
So as entrepreneurs, we have a responsibility to act with integrity, to treat others with respect, and to build businesses that contribute positively to the world. It's about finding that balance between ambition and compassion, between individual success and collective well-being.
It's about recognizing that true success isn't just about the bottom line. It's about the impact we make. It's about building something that is sustainable, meaningful, and aligned with our values. And I think that's a message that resonates deeply with today's entrepreneurs.
I agree. So we've explored these core principles of emotional intelligence, personal responsibility, and ethical competition. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to leave our listeners with something to really chew on, something to consider as they continue on their own entrepreneurial journeys. We've talked about how the story of Cain and Abel offers a framework for navigating the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. But this ancient story, it goes even deeper than that, don't you think?
It definitely raises some profound questions
Yeah.
about the nature of success
Right.
and the choices we make along the way.
Yeah.
Cain's envy and anger ultimately led him to make a devastating choice,
Yeah,
one that had far-reaching consequences.
absolutely.
It makes you think about the long game, about the kind of legacy you want to build, not just as an entrepreneur, but
Right.
as a human being.
It's about asking yourself some tough questions like,
Yeah.
what are you willing to sacrifice in the pursuit of success?
hmm
And what kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
Yeah, are you building something that's truly meaningful, or are you just chasing the next win no matter the cost?
Right.
These are questions that every entrepreneur should grapple with.
For sure.
The Cain and Abel story reminds us that success isn't just about reaching the top.
Yeah.
It's about how you get there. It's about the values you embody, the relationships you cultivate, and the impact you make on the world around you.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle, in the constant drive for growth and expansion. But this story, it encourages us to step back and consider the bigger picture. What are we building? Why are we building it? And who are we becoming in the process?
Those are questions that I continue to ask myself, even after all these years in the business world. The entrepreneurial journey is rarely a straight line.
Right.
There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and even failures along the
Oh,
way.
for sure.
But it's during those challenging times that these timeless principles of emotional intelligence, personal responsibility, and ethical competition become even more crucial.
It's about having a North Star to guide you, a set of principles that help you stay grounded and make decisions that are aligned with your values, even when the pressure is on.
Exactly. The story of Cain and Abel is a reminder that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us,
Right.
for our communities, and for the world at large as entrepreneurs. We have a responsibility to use our talents, our resources, and our influence to make a positive impact.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought. How will you apply the lessons of Cain and Abel to your own entrepreneurial journey? How will you navigate the complexities of the business world with integrity and resilience?
Remember, true success is not just about what you achieve, it's about how you achieve it. It's about building something that is sustainable and meaningful and aligned with your values. It's about creating a legacy that you can be proud of.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the timeless wisdom of the Cain and Abel story. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Until next time.